What would happen if your favorite Latin star walked out of the operating room and you barely recognized them? In the glitzy world of fame, beauty isn't a gift, it's a dangerous obsession. From minor fixes to shocking disasters, here are some of the worst cosmetic surgeries of Latin stars. And trust us, number 11 won't disappoint. Sign up now and don't miss the truth behind it. Number 1. Irma Serrano was not just a ranchera singer. She was a living legend, a fearless woman who conquered stages, screens, and headlines since the 1960s. Her fierce and defiant beauty became part of her myth. But while her voice quietly marked generations, another story was being written in front of the mirror and under the cold lights of the operating room. Obsessed with defeating time, Irma began a long romance with cosmetic surgery. Nose, lips, chin, facelifts, one procedure after another. Slowly, her face changed until it was almost unrecognizable. The woman who once mesmerized the public started to look like a transformed version of herself, as if every surgery erased a piece of the Irma people remembered. Sharp eyebrows, hardened features, and an unnatural expression became her new image. Years later, far from the spotlight, she accepted aging, but the damage was done. When the fight against time becomes obsession, the price can be your own face. Number 2. Sandra Solimano on Chilean television, a talented actress used to the camera being her loyal friend. But in an industry where youth is mandatory and wrinkles are treated like enemies, the fear of aging slowly began to whisper in her ear. In 2013, convinced that it was simple and risk-free, she agreed to a cosmetic procedure that promised freshness and natural beauty. She was told it was safe, almost magical, an easy outpatient treatment. Reality, however, had other plans. Soon after, her face began to change in alarming ways. Biopolymers, a substance that does not dissolve, formed hard lumps beneath her skin, deforming her face and causing constant pain. What was meant to be a minor touch-up became a nightmare lasting 2 years. Sandra vanished from the screen, lost among failed treatments and the horror of not recognizing herself in the mirror. Eventually, a specialist helped her recover part of her face. Her story became a brutal warning. When trust is placed in the wrong hands, the cost can be your identity. Raquel Mancini was one of those young women whom fame embraces far too early. An Argentine model, beautiful and successful, surrounded by flashing cameras from a young age. She seemed to have everything. Yet behind that perfect image lived deep insecurity and fragile self-esteem that no one noticed when the camera stopped. Because in show business, being admired does not always mean feeling enough. In her quest to improve what was already considered beautiful, Raquel underwent multiple cosmetic surgeries. Each procedure promised correction, perfection, control. But in 1996, her body said stop. After liposuction, she suffered a serious complication that left her in a coma, on the edge of death. Glamour vanished in seconds, replaced by hospitals, fear, and silence. She survived and understood the truth with brutal clarity. Today, she swears never to return to surgery unless life itself demands it. Sometimes surgery does not fix a flaw, it reveals a much deeper wound. For years, Alfredo Palacios was known as the stylist of the stars, a man who, in Mexican television, represented power, access, and pure glamour. Celebrities came to him to polish their image, to look young, relevant, and flawless on camera. But while he taught others how to face time, Alfredo was secretly fighting his own war against aging, a silent battle that slowly appeared on his face. As time passed, his obsession with youth became impossible to hide. Botox, endless touch-ups, and repeated trips to the operating room transformed his features until they were almost unrecognizable. What began as small improvements ended in a rigid, swollen face, far from the natural look he once defended. Paradoxically, the master of image began to lose his own, becoming the target of comments, jokes, and speculation. Sabrina Sabrac built her fame on pure visual impact. From her very first appearances, it was obvious she had no intention of blending in. The Argentine model pushed exaggeration to the limit and turned her body into a non-stop spectacle.
Her obsession with shocking the world led her to be recognized as the woman with the largest breasts on the planet, a record that placed her at the center of attention and raised serious alarms. In 2006, her implants reached an approximate weight of 7 kilograms, a number as impressive as it was dangerous. Doctors warned her about real risks, spinal damage, irreversible health problems, and even the possibility of ending up in a wheelchair if she did not reduce them. But for Sabrina, her bust was no longer just part of her body. It was her brand, her fame, her identity. Over time, the cost became undeniable. Her body began to suffer, and warnings turned into threats. Her story remains one of the most extreme cases in show business. When the body becomes identity, who dares to give it up, even if life is at stake? If you like this video, command 1. If you do not, comment 0. I truly value your opinion. Alejandra Guzman was, for years, an absolute icon of rebellion, sensuality, and female power in Mexican music. With an admired body and an untamed attitude, she seemed to have everything. Yet even the strongest women can fall into the trap of impossible beauty standards. In 2009, determined to perfect her figure, Alejandra made a decision that would change her life forever: polymer injections in her buttocks. What promised beauty became a nightmare. Within months, lumps, swelling, and intense pain appeared. The situation worsened rapidly, forcing her into a long chain of surgeries to repair the damage. In total, there were almost 40 operations, some of them emergencies. More than once, she was on the verge of death, facing ruptured arteries, severe infections, and the real risk of losing a leg. She admitted there were moments she wanted to give up, exhausted from fighting a body she no longer recognized. Years later, she returned with visible facial enhancements, triggering a new wave of criticism. This time, she didn't risk her life, but she risked her image. In show business, even after surviving surgery, judgment never stops.